there's a challenging spirit within Honda. It gives us the courage to go faster and the thinking to make it real. Whether it looks like a truck, a sedan, or an SUV, inside is the heart of a race car.
My name is Jason Alder, and I'm the driver of the number 77 Ligier JS F3 car. Being a race car driver is cool and all, but it's really nothing when you're not utilizing it for a good cause, like spreading the word for type 1 and type 2 diabetes. It does a lot for me personally, and it does a lot for the FDA.
Some of the symptoms of type 1 diabetes are sudden weight loss, vision changes, frequent urination. So remember to check, don't guess, it may not be the flu, and that education is knowledge, and knowledge is the power to help save lives. Go to dfda.info to check out Rocco's story. Thank you and have a great day.
Hi, I'm Dan on the pre-grid for the Formula Regionals, and as you can see, I've got Raul Hyman right here in front of me, and he's got his new Hankooks on. He's ready to go. He's leading the championship. He's giving me a nod. I'll give him a tap on the helmet. We won't talk to him because he's about to go out. He's leading the championship, and he had a chance to win the championship here, but he had an off yesterday, and so he's got all the work to do at the moment. And that brings Dylan Tavella, who's been in this championship both in F4 and in FR. He is exactly the success story we're looking for here in America. A youngster from the New York area who's been racing single-seaters and looking to continue to do so, so he's still got a chance at the championship. Then, in the number 77, I've still got the hat, Jason Alder, right here, looking for a good result. Jason, are you ready to go?
Oh yeah, we're ready to rock and roll today.
Are you going to give me a win? I don't often come and see you on the grid. Are you going to get a win for me?
I'm going to do my best.
Good man. I'll need another hat soon. He's going to give me a nod. Nick Persing was in our commentary booth just a few moments ago, and I gave him a hard time. Nick, are you going to do this for us?
Hell yeah. Sorry, excuse the language, but...
Hell yeah, it's fine.
All right, yeah.
You need psyching up, man. All right, I'll give you a tap on the helmet. All right, that's Nick's permit. He says, hell yeah, Canada have been a big factor in the last year or so. Matt Clark here and several others. There's Cooper Becklin, who's had a good season in the 91. Won't necessarily win the championship, but he's in one of the top teams in the Crosslink Kiwi Motorsport team. As you can see, all the engines are now rolling. Hayden Bowlesby, watch out for him in the number 3. But it's all eyes on the young Brit, Raul Hyman, as he gets ready for this final race here at VIR. Just 3 more to go at Coda after this. Back to you guys in the commentary booth.
Thanks so much, Jonathan. Great to have you with us down on the pre-grid. An opportunity to see and talk to a couple of these drivers as we've got 11 cars in the Formula Regional American Championship just about to take their last green flag of the weekend. My name's John Fippin. Glad to be with you here in the commentary box overlooking the front straightaway. And youngster Tyke Durst next to me. Tyke, welcome to the commentary booth for this race.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. I think this one's going to be pretty interesting. You know, last FR race, it's all on the line. They're going to be pretty excited for it.
Exactly right. You're a local guy from
Yes,
North Carolina, so it's about an hour from here?
Yeah, I live in Raleigh, go to school in Charlotte, so very familiar with North Carolina, and, you know, love coming up here. The drive up here is absolutely beautiful, so love this place.
Awesome. Let's do a quick rundown of the starting grid for you. Starting alone in row number 6 is car number 24, Kevin Jansen, the senior member of our driving team here from Deerfield Beach, Florida. Kevin drives for Crosslink Kiwi. In row 5 on the outside, car number 10, Rodrigo Gutierrez out of Santa Cruz, Bolivia for Velocity Racing Development, alongside the number 2 of Oliver Westling from Emerald Hills, California for Jensen. Oliver making his debut this weekend in the FR car. He raced earlier in the season in the F4 machinery, but stepping up to the FR car for our last 2 racing venues. Moving up into row 4 on the outside, the 78 of Ryan Yardley. Ryan was in the commentary box with us yesterday out of Christchurch, New Zealand for Crosslink Kiwi. He does double duty. He's not only a driver, but also a mechanic for the team. Next to him is the number 3 of Hayden Bowlesby from Folsom, Louisiana in the IGY6 team. It's a veteran-owned team. His father instrumental in pulling that team together. Great to have Hayden and his team here with us. Moving up into row 3, we saw him on the pre-grid, Cooper Becklin in the number 91 out of West Lynn, Oregon. Cooper for Crosslink Kiwi Motorsports, starting his college career on an athletic scholarship. He's a high jumper. Next to him is the number 25 of Mac Clark from Campbellville, Ontario, Canada for Future Star Racing. Mac's been in the thick of it all weekend long. He had to miss the New Jersey round because of a scheduling conflict. Great to have him back with us for the final 2 venues of the season. Nick Pershing was in the commentary box with me for the F4 race earlier today. He will start 4th in the number 29 car out of Morgan Hill, California. He's starting his career in college at Boise State this fall. Next to him is the 77 of Jason Alder out of Cooksville, Maryland. The Drive for Diabetes Awareness sponsored machine. Jason driving for TJ Speed Motorsports. He's currently 3rd in the points championship. And now for the front row. They are 1st and 2nd in the points. 2nd is Dylan Tavella in the number 14 out of Massapequa Park, New York for Crosslink Kiwi Motorsport. And your pole sitter and the series points leader, the number 27 of Raul Hyman, the South African currently living in London. He also drives for TJ Speed. Raul has really been a dominant factor in this championship. He notched his 8th win on the season out of 14 races. He's been on the podium 5 other times. He has only missed the podium once in all 14 races. So Raul Hyman, the odds-on favorite for this race, of course, but anything can happen, as we saw at the first race of the weekend. Raul had a problem coming in contact with another car, not his fault, on the very first race of the weekend, and struggling to come back, eventually put the car into the tire barrier. So he is fallible, but take nothing away from the talent of this young man. He has really been a revelation to our series, as he has really been a dominant factor all season long. The cars coming into position here on the front straightaway. You can see 2 of our marshals lined up that will guide the front row into position. That would be Raul Hyman and Dylan Tavella, the 2 championship protagonists. And right behind them, Jason Alder, who is 3rd in the championship. His teammate, Nick Pershing, currently 5th in the championship. Ryan Yardley right there in the top of the order. He'll start 8th. Ryan currently holding down 4th in the championship. 46 points separate our top 2, and there are, including this race, 100 points still on offer. So
yeah.
Go ahead.
Raul Hyman is a very safe bet. I think if he leads into turn 1, we'll see.
He has been all season long, no question. The green lights are on, indicating the field is set. You can hear the revs come up to the rev limiter, and we're away. And I think the 29 car of Nick Pershing might have gotten a little premature start, but that's just my vantage point. We'll let the stewards sort that out as Nick jukes around to try to challenge Raul Hyman for the lead here as they make the run down toward turn number 1.
Yeah, Tavella did not have a good start there.
Exactly. Tavella back in 3rd right now alongside Jason Alder. As everybody making it through turn 1, you can see Oliver Westling there along with the 10 car of Rodrigo Gutierrez as they come into NASCAR, still battling for that 2nd spot. And I believe, it's hard to tell from the drone shot, I believe that's Nick Pershing making it up to 2nd. But Raul Hyman did maintain the lead as the cars snake through the left hook and begin the run through the Optima S's and then into the climbing S's. Nope, it's Tavella up into 2nd as Dylan was able to get back around Nick Pershing. And then you can see Pershing there in 3rd. And Matt Clark all over the back of Jason Alder for the battle for 3rd.
Look for a move into Oak Tree for Mac, maybe.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, good 3-way battle for the final step on the podium. Right at the moment, Nick Pershing leading his teammate, Jason Alder. There's Mac Clark right behind him. Just behind Mac is Cooper Becklin. Actually, no, that's Ryan Yardley that moved up behind, and then Cooper Becklin. As you can see, the leader snaking his way down this long 4,000-foot back straightaway, trying to break the draft that Dylan Tavella is in right now. The battle is on for 3rd, and here it comes. Popping out is Jason Alder, trying to retake that spot.
That was close.
From Nick Pershing. They're still side by side. Pershing with a nose ahead, and here comes Matt Clark trying to join the party. That's a fantastic battle. And it is Nick Pershing with the advantage, then Jason Alder, then Matt Clark. So no change despite some good side-by-side racing as they come down the roller coaster.
Oh, Mac's close on the draft there.
Yeah, Matt Clark is all over the back of Jason Alder. So see if he can make that move. Jason goes down to the inside of his teammate, Nick Pershing. Matt Clark tries to follow Pershing around. There's been some contact. A front end wing plate is off the, I'm guessing that is off Jason Alder's car. Yes, you can see the right.
I want someone off.
And we've got somebody off here about mid-pack. right there at the outside of NASCAR turn. It didn't look like he made it all the way to the tire barrier, so hopefully we'll be able to get back on.
Those front wing end plates are very important. Downforce in these cars matters a lot, and at this track you need a lot of front downforce to keep the nose going where you want it. So if you lost that through NASCAR, then that probably explains why you're off.
Exactly. Great battle at the front. Raul Hyman with Dylan Tavella right on his gearbox through the climbing S's. Matt Clark has indeed moved up to third, and I believe Nick Pershing back in fourth spot. Yes, it is Pershing back there. Raul Hyman getting a little breathing room as they came through South Bend, that number 10 turn, as they're into the Oak Tree Bend, just after Franklin Road turned 11. Hyman once again weaving his way down this long straightaway. As they come up the hill to the highest point on the back straightaway, and then it tips back down. You can see that end fence.
Oh, Kevin spun.
Yeah, that's Kevin Jansen taking a spin. That was at the tail end of that lap. That was at turn 1. He was well back, but he is able to get back underway. And we can see the car going off, and I think that is indeed Chase. Yeah, 2 cars make it off. As they come by the line, we'll sort it out by process of elimination here. Yeah, Jason Alder is missing. He has not yet come by, so it's Raul Hyman, Dylan Tavella, and Matt Clark, your top 3. Ryan Yardley up to 4th. Cooper Becklin just set fast lap of the race from 5th. Hayden Bowlesby, Rodrigo Gutierrez, Oliver Westling. Nick Pershing has yet to come by. There's Jason Alder flashing by, and Nick Pershing not yet into our view. So here comes Kevin Jansen. So Nick Pershing stranded out on course somewhere, as he has not come by start-finish. So after a promising start, it looks like his day may come to a premature end here.
That's unfortunate. I love his hair.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. Well, you got a pretty good head of hair yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's all right. Indeed.
Until I get a top 5, I'll have good hair. So.
Yeah, there you go. Jason Alder used to have the best hair of the paddock, but he cut it off this year. So as we work our way through turn number 10, the battle warming up just a little bit for that final step on the podium is Ryan Yardley now beginning to close down on Matt Clark. Matt had an interesting race yesterday. He led briefly, but then faded to at the end and ended up finishing 5th. We'll see if the same thing repeats itself here, if he can keep the tires under him and maintain this podium spot.
Yeah, I'm a big Matt Clark fan. You know, he raced with my team last year. I watched a lot of his onboard. He's a great guy. I saw what happened yesterday, you know, starting second. You know, he had it and then unfortunately lost it, but I think he has some stuff today to show him.
Yeah, probably tire management would be part of the factor. These teams only have, there's Nick Pershing in the pits as the TJ Speed crew going to work on that left rear corner. Right rear corner, should say. I'm guessing that's where he made contact with Jason Alder's front wing, and it probably cut the tire down. So that's most likely what created the problem for Nick. Meanwhile, at the front, the battle between Raul Hyman and Dylan Tavella continues as they work their way through the first turn, side by side for the 3rd spot. As Ryan Yardley trying to make the move on Matt Clark. He's still there as they come down toward NASCAR, but can't quite get the inside move. So Clark hangs on to 3rd at the moment.
But it's moving to left hook.
Yeah, it's kind of a deja vu all over again. Max starting out well, but then fading a bit as the race wears on. It's still early days, though. We still got a half an hour of this race left to go, so plenty of time for this to sort itself out. I'm amazed at how close Dylan is staying with Raul here. He did the same thing yesterday. He stayed right with him until late in the race when Raul eventually was able to pull it away.
Yeah, the draft here is insanely powerful. If you can just get behind someone who's pretty quick, you can just kind of stick with them using the draft.
Of course, the FR cars generate a whole lot more downforce, which means that they also disturb the air for the following car that much more. So it is tougher to follow closely in these cars. Cooper Becklin doing a great job staying right on the back of Ryan Yardley, as those 2 Crosslink Kiwi teammates going after it for 4th and 5th. Raul Hyman beginning to inch away now out in front. Matt Clark kind of by himself, but here comes Cooper Becklin, excuse me, alongside Ryan Yardley into the brake zone for the roller coaster. Wasn't quite alongside enough, so he'll have to fall back in single file. As the car behind him, I guess that was Hayden Bowlesby, went off, carried his braking a little bit too late right there at the top of the hill for the roller coaster. Hopefully Hayden was able to get back on track. Hayden looking for his best finish of the season if he can maintain where he's running. His best finish so far has been a pair of 6th. So Hayden hopefully can match that. As the three-way battle for the final step on the podium is the closest one on the racetrack. Matt Clark out in front in the white and yellow machine. Then Ryan Yardley and Cooper Becklin, the 2 Crosslink Kiwi teammates.
Yeah, if Ryan and Cooper keep fighting, Mac might have this.
Yeah, absolutely right, because as they battle each other, that gives Mac the chance to get a little breathing room here.
Yep.
Then it's a bit of a gap back to Hayden Bowlesby. He was able to recover from dropping those wheels off at the top of the hill there at the roller coaster. But Dylan Tavella still staying right there in the hunt. At the stripe, he was only 0.4 of a second behind our points leader, Raul Hyman.
You know, being there is very important, because if Raul Hyman does make a mistake, it'll be Tavella's for the taking.
Exactly. Raul doesn't make a lot of mistakes, but he certainly is capable of doing so. Any race driver is, and this track is very unforgiving of mistakes. We've talked about that all weekend long.
All the runoffs are downhill, so the second you go off, it's a downhill run to wherever the wall is.
Exactly right. And the grass is still wet from all the rain we had last weekend. So as the field begins to spread out just a little bit, as Jason Alder, currently running in 9th spot, just set his personal best. Jason, again, with that wing in fence missing, it's going to handicap him just a bit. That's a very important part of the aerodynamics of these cars.
Yes, sir.
It's Matt Clark working their way past a slower car. I think that might have been Nick Pershing going a lap down after coming back out on track.
Yeah. That's unfortunate for him. It's not the way you want to end, you know, the weekend.
Ryan Yardley going for 3rd spot as he goes to the outside of Matt Clark in the braking zone for turn 1. Great job of out-braking Matt Clark. He was able to go in deep and go around the outside. So new 3rd place runner, Ryan Yardley, up into that spot. And Mac is losing another spot. Here comes Cooper Becklin by him as well.
He's going to fight it, though.
Yeah, he's fighting back at left hook, and he's back in there through turn 5, which has been a slick part of the racetrack here.
Oh, that is a crazy place to go too wide.
Yeah, exactly right. Into the lower S's, the Optima S's. Matt Clark has got Cooper Becklin going side by side, coming to the climbing S's. There's Hayden Bowlesby. Just behind him, Oliver Westling. Bowlesby matching his best finish. In fact, running right now in 5th. That would be his best finish of the season for the single car IGY 16. It's Matt Clark now back into that 4th spot.
What happened to Tavella?
Yeah, Dylan did not come by. Was that him that we saw? Perhaps Dylan had gone off. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, Dylan's missing in action here, as we can see. Yep, he's in the pits. Dylan Tavella with an issue down in the pit lane. The Crosslink Kiwi crew going to work immediately getting the engine cowling off.
Oh, that's
that's a tough break for Dylan, just as it looked like he was maybe in a position to close the points gap to Raul.
Yeah.
As Raul comes by, now putting Dylan a lap down. You can see him shaking his head. He's obviously disappointed. So Raul Hyman, as we are so often seeing, well out in front, but Ryan Yardley, who's now in 2nd, has just set his fastest lap and the fastest lap of the race. As we check the lap times, he's about 0.3 quicker than Raul Hyman, but 2.5 seconds behind him.
Yeah, Hyman might be on cruise control at this point.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You would expect that, as he's got enough of a breather that he can afford to just hit his marks and stay there for the rest of the race. But Yardley going to do his best to get back in contention. As you can see, Hyman in the foreground, Yardley in the orange highlights, and in the yellow highlights of Cooper Becklin, his teammate, now up on the podium. Matt Clark fading back to 4th now, with Hayden Bowlesby in his career best position right now in 5th. Oliver Westling just behind him, having a good debut weekend, stepping over from the F4 car to the FR car. Tyke, have you had any seat time in this car, or do you?
No, I have
not yet. Huh?
I have not driven this car. I was talking to Oliver yesterday, and he was talking about how difficult it is and how fast everybody is in this series. So if I do make that step, it's going to be pretty interesting. You know, he was talking about how fast everybody is, and you know how much you have to really push here.
Yeah, exactly right. And I'm sure the characteristics of the car are a little bit different. It generates a lot more downforce.
Yes.
Obviously, it's got twice as much horsepower, so that's it. And you got to deal with turbo lag. So there's lots of things to get used to.
Yeah, Mac was talking about turbo lag in the wintertime when we were testing down in Florida, and he was talking about how you almost can't get the full throttle to the exit of a corner, which is pretty crazy because in F4, you basically got to be at full throttle at the apex here.
Yeah, yeah. Ryan Yardley comes by, not resetting fast lap of the race, but his teammate Cooper Becklin does from third. So Becklin now, his last lap a 46.6. Yardley was at a 46.7. Raul was at a 46.9. So getting a little closer together, but the top three about equally spaced, just over 2 seconds separating them. So that's a pretty comfortable margin. As Matt Clark still hanging on to that 4th spot, his best lap. His last lap was his personal best, a 47.2, but as you can see, he's not quite able to match the pace of those three in front of him.
Those crosslinks and TJs are pretty fast.
Oh yeah, no question. No question at all. As the top 4 pretty much settled in here. Hayden Bowlesby coming under a little bit of pressure from Oliver Westling. Westling is, as they cross the line, just about a second behind Hayden Bowlesby, so we might have a battle brewing for that 5th spot. That would be Oliver's best finish as well. So far, he's had an 8th and a 9th, both this weekend in his FR debut. Matt Clark, obviously with great success in another racing series, which shall stay unnamed. And he's got his sights set on a different series next year, but we hope to have Mac back in the Formula Regional Americas series as well, as there's a good plum at the end of this championship as well. That $600,000 Honda scholarship to the Japanese Super Formula Championship, one of the top international open wheel feeder series championships. As we look at this battle between Hayden Bowlesby and Oliver Westling, that's getting more and more interesting. There's Oliver right on camera as they come down through the Big Machine Vodka Spiked Coolers hog pen turn.
I think he's pushing for it. He's definitely trying to catch him.
You betcha.
Yeah, the Super Formula scholarship it's pretty enticing, you know, looking at that and, you know, thinking about going to Japan and living it up. And that sounds amazing.
Yeah, being an ambassador for Honda while you're there. I mean, it's just a real plum of a scholarship, and we're hoping that this year's champion takes advantage of it. And if Mac can come back next year, although he's out of the hunt for this year's championship, he can certainly notch it next year as well. So we keep our fingers crossed that he's able to find a ride for next season as well, because he's certainly a promising young driver. Raul Hyman sets fast lap of the race. Like you said, on cruise control for him, that's setting fast laps of the race as he opens up a 2.5 second advantage over Ryan Yardley. Cooper Becklin getting a little closer to his teammate. It's at about 1.8 seconds now.
Mac is really, really fast of a driver, and I think, you know, he won the first race of this championship this year, and I think he's got a lot to prove.
Yep, exactly right. And this battle between Bowlesby and Westling is a very good one right now. Perhaps the closest battle on the racetrack. Right at a second separated the two of them as they left or came across start finish, and it looks much closer than that now as Hayden Bowlesby guarding that inside line and Oliver Westling staying right with him as they drop over the hill there at the roller coaster. It's 130 feet of vertical drop there from the roller coaster down to the bottom of the hill at Hogpen.
Hogpen is quite the hill.
Oh yeah.
There's a giant compression right at the apex of the corner that you just kind of got to trust to carry the car around. And if you don't, then it'll be interesting. Yeah,
when it's wet, we saw so many drivers getting it all wrong there at the Hogpen. To make it more complicated, when the track is wet, there's a rivulet that runs across, and a puddle forms right at the apex, which just lifts the front end of the car, and off you go into the grass. We saw lots of spins down there in the racing last weekend, and we've seen a couple here this weekend as well.
Oliver's trying to show his nose, trying to make the pass at some point.
Yep. Obviously, the best thing he can do is try to stay right with Hayden and perhaps convince him to commit a mistake.
He'll have a really good draft through the S's and the uphills, so yeah. Yep,
through the Optima S's as they work their way towards the climbing S's, the signature part of this racetrack. Even in the FR cars, it's flat all the way through.
Yep.
When I was talking with Nick Pershing, he said it's right on the limit. You got to be aware of where you are. It's not a ride on the highway by any stretch of the imagination. But he said you are able to take it flat.
It's very interesting when you go too wide there.
Yeah, exactly right. And usually that comes to tears if they get too wide in that section of the racetrack. We follow this battle for 5th place between Hayden Bowlesby and Oliver Westling. It continues to be a good one. We're just passing half distance of this race with about 17 minutes still remaining as they tip over the top of the hill. Not much to report in the front 4 as they stay a couple seconds apart. Cooper Beckland maybe a whisker quicker than Ryan Yardley on that last lap. So in fact, Cooper sets his personal best at a 46.4. Ryan was at a 46.6, so not much of a difference. Matt Clark also setting his personal best from 4th position, but he's dropped about 3.5 seconds behind Cooper Beckland in the battle for the final podium spot. The battle between Bowlesby and Westling up into the horseshoe turn, the Mission Foods turn number 1 this weekend.
Yeah, and I think Bowlesby and Westling are actually catching back as well, so it might be a 3-way battle.
Yeah, you're right. Dylan Tavella back on track, sadly laps down to the lead of the race, and he has just set the fastest lap of the race from last place. So if there were another race tomorrow, Dylan would be on the pole, but sadly, that's not the case. This battle between Westling and Bowlesby is a dandy for 5th and 6th. Tyke, I know you were talking with Ben about it, but talk to us a little bit about Drive Toward a Cure. That's a charity that you're involved in. It's about Parkinson's disease, right?
Yes, sir. So Drive Towards a Cure is basically it's a 501c. It's a great organization. They do basically donations towards Parkinson's research and Parkinson's treatment. So it's great. I love working with them. You know, Deb Pollock, who runs it, is an absolutely amazing person. It's a lot of fun.
Exactly. So if folks want to contribute to that, how do they get in touch with you and make that happen?
Yeah, so in my Instagram, there's a link in my bio that goes straight to my fundraising page at Drive Towards a Cure, and then you can also just go to drivetowardsacure.org. You know, they have a lot of great information on their website. You can really learn a lot. You know, I think it's something that should really be cured because it's an absolutely horrible disease. So, yeah.
Exactly. I have a close friend who just passed away from Parkinson's disease, so I have some personal experience with it, and I know I couldn't agree with you more. It's a terrible disease where, you know, a perfectly functional brain is trapped in a body that doesn't cooperate.
Yep.
And, you know, it was just sad to see Don go through that. God rest you, my friend. But, yeah, that's a great thing. And the cool thing about it, Tyke, and I have to tip my hat to you, you don't have any personal, you know, you don't have any family with it or anything. Nope. This is just because you think it's a good cause. God bless you, man. Yep. That's a great thing.
Yeah, I had a friend or a teacher at my high school who really, you know, pointed me towards it and said, you know, you should do this. And you know, I think it's a great thing to do because you kind of have a little bit of a platform here in racing, and you got to use it for something good.
Yes. Good job, my friend. Tip of the hat to you for doing it as we stay with this battle, which is the most compelling battle on the racetrack between Hayden Bowlesby and Oliver Westling, two drivers looking to...
Someone slowing down.
Yeah, in fact, that is Oliver off the pace, slowing way down like something is wrong with that car. No, that was Hayden.
Bowlesby.
Yeah, it's Oliver who got in front of him as Bowlesby definitely off the pace.
Might be stuck in a gear.
Yeah, I'm hoping that he maybe just missed a shift or something. The Sadev sequential gearboxes are pretty reliable, but they can get out of sync, and then you got a box full of neutrals, basically. And sadly, that looks like Hayden has got a problem, and that is going to promote Oliver Westling up to 5th. And that'll be a pretty good way to end his debut weekend in the Formula Regional Americas Championship if he can hang on to it.
Oh, he'll be very happy with that.
Oh, yes, he should be. Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you what, the battle between Cooper Beckland and Ryan Yardley is getting more interesting. Cooper just set fast lap of the race, and he's closed it down to within 0.6 of a second of his teammate. So again, it's all about tire management, having tires under you at the end of this last race of the weekend. And you can, you know, everybody's, you know, kind of at the limit because, you know, you've already used up all the tire you've got available.
Yeah, I think the rules are the same for tires as they are in F4, which you only get 2 sets per weekend.
That's correct.
So it's a lot of tire management. In race 3, you're probably on some used sets, so you really got to make sure you take care of the tires in this race.
Hankook has done a great job. The tires have great longevity. We've discovered, at least what the drivers have told me, they're not peaky. A lot of drivers, a lot of tires in other series, you know, especially in qualifying, they're good for just a couple laps. As we can see this problem for Hayden Bowlesby as they climb the hill. There's Oliver Westling behind him. And just as they go under the bridge, something happens and Hayden's car slows down. Oliver able to get right by him as they head for the climbing S's. So we'll check down here at pit lane. I don't see Hayden yet making a stop, so perhaps he's been able to solve the problem. And we'll be able to continue in that 6th position.
He's only dropped 1 spot.
Yeah, he's only dropped that 1 spot. Jason Alder has not yet caught him. Jason's a further 9 seconds back, struggling with that wounded car, with that end fence missing on the front wing. Dylan Tavella also recovering from the issues he had early on with a technical problem of some kind with that car. Had to make an unscheduled pit stop, and he's back in 11th spot.
Bowlesby's in the 2nd pit lane down at South Paddock right now.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently realizing he couldn't continue, and rather than bring out a full course yellow, he did the right thing, which is pull off course at a safe place. And the South Pits is the safest place to be, other than the pit lane on the front straightaway. So Matt Clark in kind of a lonely 4th spot now. He's 5 seconds behind Brian Yardley, who has now relinquished that 2nd spot. Cooper Becklin has moved up into 2nd. You can see that right now as those two on track. So Cooper Becklin moving up to 2nd. That would be a season best finish for him. He has 1 podium so far, and that was a 3rd at Mid-Ohio. So if Cooper could maintain this, that would be his best finish of the season. Right now, he is about 28 points behind Matt Clark in the championship. So that battle would close down for sure. If he stays in 2nd, he'll get 18 points. Mack in 4th would get 10. So, or 12, excuse me. So it is a 6-point swing if Cooper Becklin could stay where he is. But his teammate Ryan Yardley, I'm sure, will be trying not to do that and see if he can get back around him. But on that last lap, Cooper was quicker than our leader, Raul Hyman, by about a half a second. So we'll keep an eye on this. We've still got 10 minutes of racing to go, and a whole lot of things can happen.
It's crazy that they're setting their fastest times with almost the most worn tires right now.
Yeah, Jason Alder, even with that wing damage, just turned a 47.6. He's about a second off, you know, his ultimate pace, surely, because of that damaged wing, but still setting personal bests. Doing what you need to do, which is, as you learn to become more skilled, driving around to problems. The car can't always be perfect, and you got to learn to maximize it the best you can.
I had a lot of oil on my tires in the last race, so there was a lot of driving around the problem. The rears were very, very slippery. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we saw that in your race. You came into the pits with some debris wedged under your front ring. What was that all about?
Well, going into the first turn, there was a lot of action going on, and I think one of the crosslinks had a side pod that was damaged. The side pod flew off the car, struck my car, and just had a side pod sitting on my front wing, so I had to come in. And that side pod was covered in oil, so I had oil all over my car, all over my visor. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I saw them after they got the side pod off your car. They immediately went to your visor to wipe it off. So, yeah. Learning to drive with zero visibility, that's certainly no fun.
I tried to wipe it with my glove and it just smeared it. So,
oh, yeah. That's the worst possible thing. Let's keep an eye on Cooper Becklin here with the yellow nose number 91 for Crosslake Kiwi. I think he has his sights set on his first win of his FR career. Let's just see if he's got the pace to run down Raul Hyman. If Raul is nursing his tires to the end, perhaps Cooper has saved the best for last here. Still 8.5 minutes remaining.
8 minutes ago, I think they're giving it everything they got, so I don't think there's any nursing of the tires left.
Yeah, exactly right. You can see the top 3 about equally spaced as they come into our view. So Ryan Yardley has stayed in contact with Cooper Becklin after Cooper got around him. There's Yardley now coming down the hill into the infamous hog pen turn. The Big Machine Vodka Spiked Coolers hog pen this weekend. And here they come across the stripe. We'll check the intervals. Raul Hyman about 3 seconds in front of Cooper Becklin. Ryan Yardley about 1 second and 7/10 behind his teammate Cooper Becklin. Matt Clark comes by in 4th, another 6 seconds back. Oliver Westling and Jason Alder now battling for 5th and 6th as Hayden Bowlesby has retired. As we check Westling's lap time, a 47.4 the last lap. Alder just now coming to the line. We'll see what he looks like. He's at a 48 and some change, so not catching Oliver Westling. About 7 seconds separates those two. As we can see, Matt Clark now in the 4th position. No real pressure being exerted on Ryan Yardley, and he's not getting any pressure from behind as Oliver Westling is some 17 seconds up the road.
Yeah, Oliver might have lost that, you know, when you're driving behind someone, you kind of have like a carrot on a stick to go and chase. So he might have lost that little carrot, and that might be why Mac has opened up the gap there.
Yeah.
Mac also might be pushing as well, yeah.
Exactly. Take nothing away from Mac and his
Yeah.
skill level. He's certainly pushing hard to close that gap if he can. It's about 6 seconds worth, and he's got about 6 minutes to try to get that done. So Raul Hyman at the moment on his way perhaps to win number 9 on the season, and making it more and more likely that he's got one hand on the trophy as he heads into our final race weekend at the first weekend in November down at COTA. He will not be able to clinch here this weekend, so it'll go down to the last 3 races before we crown a new champion, but the odds makers in Las Vegas would certainly count Raul as the favorite.
Yes, sir. It'll be interesting to see what he does next year, I think.
Yeah, no kidding. I think I haven't talked to him about it, but I would be very surprised if he doesn't take advantage of the Super Formula opportunity. As Dylan Tavella closing up on the back of Jason Alder to unlap himself. Unfortunately, Dylan is a lap down to the race, so this pass will not improve his position, but just give him the satisfaction of knowing that he can run with and perhaps run by one of the front runners in the championship. Jason currently just behind Dylan for the season-ending championship. Dylan,
they're still fighting.
Yeah, they're 66 points apart, so the outcome of this race will narrow that gap just a bit, but it won't switch them by any means. Dylan got it done. He got in front of him now.
Yeah, and I don't think Jason's going to fight that too hard.
Well, in fairness to Jason, he's with a damaged car too, so you know he's got a car that is probably not turning left very well.
Yeah, that's
with
very
that right
important
end fence missing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he takes it right out to the Gator's Teeth there at the exit of South Bend. As they come into the
front wing.
Yeah, no kidding. As he comes down to the Oak Tree Bend, right out to the edge of the track, as he's still pushing it hard. Jason was able to comment with me earlier in the weekend, and he's certainly a young man with a bright future, I think. He's got the knack for not making mistakes at critical times, and that's one of the things that's kept him so good at his craft. He's pretty much a mistake-free racer. You rarely see him putting the car where it shouldn't be, and that leads to good results. And he's had a couple wins already this year, including one this weekend. As the 24, Kevin Jansen, being a gentleman and stepping aside to let these faster cars get through.
Yeah, consistency is very key in racing. If you don't have it, it's every weekend's going to be very up and down, and it's going to be hard to really put together a championship.
Yeah, absolutely. Jason, of course, starting out on pavement ovals, you know, and looked to be heading toward NASCAR, but then came into the F4 Championship a year ago, won his very first race, and I think he decided he likes road racing better than oval racing, and he stayed with us. And now stepping up into the Formula Regional Americas Championship after finishing second a year ago, so he's got a bright future. As do all of these drivers, to be fair, including yourself, Tyke. It's great to have a chance to see these young drivers learning their craft, making mistakes, but then learning from them. That's all important.
The crossovers from oval racing are pretty weird to road racing. It gives you like a lot of confidence, and it lets you get like really, really close to apexes and walls. So think that's something that actually helps in road racing.
Yeah, exactly right. Kevin Jansen stepping aside to let another car go by as the 78 of Ryan Yardley getting past him. Yardley still in that third spot, about 3.5 seconds behind Cooper Becklin. And getting down to the closing stages of this one, 2 minutes, 20 seconds still remain on the clock. We should see the white flag, I'm guessing, perhaps next time by, with lap times in the high 140s.
You know, unlike us, they haven't had a yellow.
Yeah. I'm thinking that might be what we'll see. Raul Hyman out in front by almost 4 seconds over Cooper Becklin. Cooper going for his best finish of the season. Only his second podium, and it would be the middle step of the podium. Ryan Yardley, Cooper's teammate, another 3 seconds up the road in third. Matt Clark, after challenging the top three in the early stages, eventually fading to fourth position, about 4 seconds further back. Oliver Westling, after an enticing battle with Hayden Bowlesby for the 5th spot. Bowlesby finally having mechanical issues and had to pull off. So Oliver up in 5th. That'll be a good way to end his weekend. His first weekend in the Formula Regional Americas car. As we follow our leader down the hill. Raul Hyman with about a minute left. I'm guessing we'll see the white flag.
Yep.
As he flashes by our commentary position.
There it is.
And there it is. You can see it from the flag stand. One more lap to go. 3.727 miles, 17 turns here at VIR.
17 very tricky turns here.
You betcha.
Yep.
There's not a gimme in anywhere in there.
Yes.
They're all require your full attention. As Raul Hyman on his way perhaps to win number 9 on the season and extending his points lead as we head down to Jonathan Green's home track, the Circuit of the Americas, for our season finale coming up in just a couple weeks' time, first weekend in November. The full Speed Tour contingent will be down there at COTA just as they were here at VIR. So we look forward to a great weekend of racing and crowning our champions in both this series and in the F4 US Championship. But it really has never been in doubt with this guy. I mean, he had a win and 2 podiums at the first race weekend at NOLA, and he really set the mood for the rest of the ways. 2 more wins at Road America, swept the weekend at Mid-Ohio, a win and a pair of podiums at New Jersey, and 2 wins here. And despite a very uncharacteristic mistake in race number 1 that wasn't entirely of his making, he has swept the table here. And a bright star and a name you're going to want to remember, Raul Hyman. And to make things even more interesting, he's a lawyer. So when he thought his racing career was over, he went to law school.
I bet he knows every rule in the rule book then.
Exactly right. But let's take nothing away from this young man. He has done a fantastic job.
There he goes.
And he is on his way to his 9th checkered flag of the season. Raul Hyman, your winner at VIR in round number 15. Second place honors his best finish of the season to Crosslink Kiwi's Cooper Becklin, the Oregonian high jumper, doing a fantastic job. And Ryan Yardley, the Crosslink Kiwi driver who's a mechanic and a driver, up from his native New Zealand in Christchurch, coming home with the final podium spot. Matt Clark comes home in 4th position. Oliver Westling just now coming to the line. He will take 5th place honors, his best finish of the season. Jason Alder with a damaged car soldiers home in 6th spot as he comes across the line. Rodrigo Gutierrez, Kevin Jansen, Nick Pershing, and Dylan Tavella, your top 10. Tyke, thanks so much for being with us and your expert commentary. I'm going to turn this mic over to Jonathan as I'm going to head downstairs and talk to our podium finishers.
Yes, sir.
Good work, guys. Thank you so much. And we'll see you at COTA. And we're looking forward to it. We'll let John head down to Parc Ferme and we'll have a look at some of the highlights. But congratulate Raul Hyman. I've known Raul now for a couple of years. He came down to New Zealand and did the Toyota Racing Series a couple of years ago, and as John rightly points out, he is a lawyer, so he's always got something to fall back on, something racing drivers need to remember. Let's take a look at the highlights then of our FR Americas race. Raul Hyman was pole position and he got a good start. And once in the lead, the rest of the pack were chasing him. And as they come down towards Parc Ferme, we'll get those highlights in a moment. But well done to Raul. Yeah, no, good kid, nice guy, and works very hard at his craft, and has, well, born in South Africa and is a native of Great Britain, and that's where he learned his law. And he was almost surprising himself that he managed to keep his racing career going. And if he's able to win that Honda money, that will give him his next opening to go to Japan, which I think he'll take with open arms, because this is a chance to really elongate his career. Confirmation of the result then. Raul Hyman of the Bestsader Holdings Limited Solomon Capital Enterprises wins ahead of the two Crosslink Kiwi Motorsport cars of Cooper Becklin and Ryan Yardley. Mackenzie Clark from Canada takes 4th place for the Future Star Racing team. Oliver Westlink coming in for his first weekend is the Swede, and Jensen Global Advisors taking 5th place ahead of Jason Alder for the Drive for Diabetes Awareness car in 6th. Rodrigo Gutierrez for VRD is in 7th. Then Kevin Janssen 8th, Nick Persing in 9th, and Dylan Tavella for Crosslink Kiwi Motorsport. Rounding out the top 10. So here they come into Parc Ferme. We'll hear from the winners in a moment. Cars coming into Parc Ferme. There they are. Yeah, it's been an up and down weekend. I spoke to Raul earlier, and he was very disappointed, having been punted off at the first corner yesterday, when really he looked as though he was going to wrap up the championship, and he was kind of in deep thought about the fact that he's got to keep going. But that's motor racing. He knows it all too well. And the bottom line is he's going on to win this championship. As John put it, he's got one hand on the trophy. 9 wins in any season is glorious. He certainly deserves it, no question about it. So he gets the congratulations of the team. Just trying to listen in on what they're saying as a team talk. And of course the J-Speed team, actually one of the newer teams to the series, but they've got such a caliber of engineers and team managers that I'm not surprised that they are doing as well as they are. Crosslink Kiwi, of course, have been dominating the championship over the years. VRD have had their highlights too. And I can see that John Fippin's got the mic in his hand. Raul's got the helmet off. And in a moment, the balaclava will come off. Let's head down to John Fippin with our winner.
Jonathan, we've got our winner, Raul Hyman, win number 9 on the season. What do you have to say about this one?
That was tough. Like, honestly, I don't know if you guys would have seen the lockup into, I think it's 13 on the first lap. I mean, we really struggled. It was weird for tire temperature, even yesterday in the first laps. So I knew if I could kind of get it done on the first lap and hold position, we'd have the pace of the car to go through the rest of the race. So, I mean, I was really just pushing. And yeah, I mean, I just locked up into 13, and then I was like, don't get off the brake. I mean, I'd rather just hold the lockup, get all the way in, instead of getting off and trying to modulate. And then from there, I had a massive vibration. And then that made every braking zone quite tricky, because if you flat spot once, you'll flat spot again, right? Or lock up again. So that was, honestly, it was quite difficult. But, I mean, really, the pace of the car, TJ Speed have done an amazing job. And, of course, I'm really just grateful to God to be back here. It's a real privilege to be on pole, to win the race. And yeah, I'm just grateful.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
On Dakota, Jonathan.
Yeah, and somewhat an apt place, the home of world champions. And yes, Raul Hyman will be crowned the new FR Americas champion there with 1 round to go, 3 races to go, and at COTA. But let's take a look now at some of the highlights from that FR race. Started off with Hyman in pole position, and the key in any of these races is to get down to that first corner first, and that's exactly what Raul Hyman did. And once there, he really didn't look back, but you heard just then, he said it was pretty tough out there, and he made a few mistakes. And he wasn't the only one. There was bits of debris, bits of car going off everywhere. NASCAR caught one of the cars. Jason Alder and the rest of the chasing pack, including Dylan Tabella, all trying to get on level terms. Good job done by the man of the moment. Becklin really doing a really good job of holding on to second, getting past Yardley. Ryan Yardley, though, ending up on the podium. The checkered flag was always going to go to Raul Hyman. His 9th victory of the season. So, as the sun shines here in VIR, Virginia International Raceway, we'll take a short break. We'll be right back with more action from the Speed Tour. Stay with us.
Everything in our garage is inspired by our racing spirit. Race in for a great deal on the Honda CR-V. Only at the Honda Dream Garage Spring Event.
My name is Jason Alder, and I'm the driver of the number 77 Ligier JS F3 car. Being a race car driver is cool and all, but it's really nothing when you're not utilizing it for a good cause, like spreading the word for type 1 and type 2 diabetes. It does a lot for me personally, and it does a lot for the FDA.
Some of the symptoms of type 1 diabetes are sudden weight loss, vision changes, frequent urination. Remember to check, don't guess, it may not be the flu, and that education is knowledge, and knowledge is the power to help save lives. Go to dfda.info to check out Rocco's story. Thank you and have a great day.